Ladies and gentlemen, we just received Sim Update 6 a few hours ago, and with it we received a fix to the issue that everyone was having with mapping the buttons on the Thrustmaster T.Flight 1 on Xbox. So today I'm going to show you what I have set up for my HOTAS, and these are essentially the same controls that I use on PC. I've tried my best to group similar controls to either side of my HOTAS to reduce the amount of thought that it needs to go into finding controls while I'm in flight. So the throttle side of the HOTAS, I map my landing gear, brakes, speed brake, flaps, and trim. And on the joystick side, I have all my camera and display controls. I mostly fly military jets in this simulator, so I have my controller set up to be jet friendly. Once I break down and invest in a good yoke, I will have it set up for more single and dual prop and jetliner controls, and we'll be making a settings video for that in the future as well. So without further ado, let's get into these settings. If you're not sure where some of these buttons are, you can always reference the map of the HOTAS right here on the right side of your screen. It shows the picture of the T-Flight 1 and all the buttons that are available to assign. The only switches that it doesn't show on that map is the hat switch, which we're going to go over here in the camera controls. So let's go ahead and select camera, cockpit camera. So first button up is B1. I have that set to reset cockpit view. I also have this set as my reset external view as well, just so that way the button is the same. Up next we have the hat switch, which I have set up to mirror the right stick on my Xbox controller. Just easier to maneuver the camera that way. The hardest part with setting this up is the up rights, up lefts, down rights, and down lefts. What I did to map these correctly is when selecting the switch, instead of start scanning, I go to select an input and I scroll all the way down to the point where I can find the actual hat switch, and then you can select the POV down right, POV down left, and so forth. The up, right, left, and down seems to be just fine, but this just makes things a lot easier. So as you can see here, I have my controls set pretty much to mirror exactly how the controls are labeled, and I say that because in the external view, when we get to that, all these are going to be inverted. So now we're going to close the cockpit camera and go to external camera. So same thing as before. B1 is set for reset external view. And then now for your free look, you're going to make sure that all your hat switch controls are set inverted to the way the controls are labeled. For instance, view look up right is going to be POV down left. And that way you can have it set up exactly the same as the cockpit and have your camera controls mirrored like your Xbox controller. Alright, now that we've got that done, we're going to go ahead and close the external camera and open up camera mode switches. For this one, I mapped F2 for my cockpit external view mode, so I can swap between the two views with my right thumb. So let's go ahead and close camera mode switches. Go to miscellaneous. I set B2 for my display map. Sometimes I like to pull my map up and see where I'm at, or if I'm flying through some canyons, I like to see where the corners are coming up. So I like to have this readily accessible. Alright, let's go ahead and close miscellaneous. Go to menu. So for my toggle pause, I have the options switch, and my toggle active pause is set to F1, which is the main trigger on the joystick. I like having easy access to my active pause because I do a lot of free flights and I like to look around at some of the scenery. So next we're going to close menu, instruments and systems, engine instruments. So I set previous and next for my engine auto stop and engine auto start. I only map these two because sometimes I like to fly dead stick, and other times I'll spawn on a runway and my engines are completely shut off. So I have these mapped just to be able to get in the air a little faster. So now we're going to close all that, and then we're going to go to flight control surfaces, starting with primary control surfaces. I left these as default because they're already mapped and they're perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and close that and go to control trimming surfaces. So for my elevator trim up and down, I've set on my throttle. Basically on default this is your rudders, but I don't need two rudders on my HOTAS, so I just set this up to be for the trim. I see a lot of comments on the forums and the Facebook pages where people are asking how you get smoother landings, and the elevator trim up and down is definitely the first stop for that. If you have not mapped these, you definitely should. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and close control trimming surfaces and open secondary control surfaces. So for this one, I have Y set up as my toggle spoilers. This is your air brakes, so I see also a lot of questions about that. This is something that you definitely should be mapping in for smoother landings, or if you're flying jets like the Eurofighter and you're just hauling way too much ass and you want to slow down, this is the easiest way to do it. And then I have my flaps set for B4 and B3 for increase and decrease flaps. Let's go ahead and close the control surfaces, and then we're going to move on to brakes. So for my toggle parking brakes, I have set A, and my brakes set to X. I also don't have any rudder pedals yet, so once I get the rudder pedals and get those all set up, I'll map the left and right brakes. Alright, so moving on to power management. Go to throttle. So for the throttle axis, I left this as default as well, but I did add B5 for decreased throttle, just so I can have my reverse thrusters. This is not on the joystick, this is down in the middle, but it's close enough that I can have easy access to it. That way, whenever I need to put on my reverse thrusters, it's right there. Alright, let's go ahead and close this. And for the last setting, we're going to go over landing gear. This one I have set up to be B, just for easy access to my landing gear. And that wraps up all the settings. I hope this video helped you set up your HOTAS a little bit better, kind of group some of your controls up. If these don't work for you, feel free to adjust these as you see fit, and then let me know in the comments what you think. Let's have some fun, and I'll see you next time.